To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So I thought I'd do another video on the wood stove and just talk in general about the wood stove. I made several videos now about it since the start of October. Those videos are doing really well. Better than any other category I got. The canning videos, the chicken videos, all of them. So I'm going to link another video to this video. At the end of this video, there'll be a card that pops up. I'm going to link a video to that. And if you'll click on that, give you some more information about these wood stoves, and it helps me tell YouTube that you like this video. So today, I'm going to light the wood stove. I'm not going to make this a boring, okay, you take this and you do this. I'll go through it. There'll be a lot of explanation on what's happening and why it's happening. Now, we live in this little tiny house, and I got 2x6s in the house. So I've got that insulation. I don't forget what R factor that was, but so instead of a normal house using 2x4s, we use 2x6s. Last night, it got down into the 40s. Today, it's still in the 40s. So it's pretty chilly. At 8 o'clock last night, I started the wood stove when it got down to 69 degrees in the house. I put kindling in it. Over here is my little pile of kindling. And then over here, I got all this sycamore stacked up. So again, at 8 o'clock, I started the fire just with the kindling. I did not put any of the sycamore in there. Got up hot enough that we had to open the doors and the windows like we normally do until that burns down. And then the coals just kind of take over. The stove itself gets up to about 350 degrees, and I just let it die out. It is now noon, and the temperature is 66 degrees. We went to the store at 10 o'clock, came back at noon. At 10 o'clock, so that had been 14 hours, we were at 70 degrees in the house. The house just does not lose temperature. It just heats up so well. Now, granted, it does get a little hot in here when we start it up, but we got this process going right now. We start it up in the evening, let it run through the night, and then when I get up in the morning, I can check to see if I need to start it again. Now, there's been a couple times we didn't start it at the night. It just wasn't that cold, but then you get up in the morning, it's pretty chilly, you start it up, and again, it lasts all day and into the night. So the tiny house is a huge cost savings in my life. I know there are a lot of people out there that just think it's silly that we would live in a tiny house. Why would you do that? A million reasons, and I've tried to explain them all. Easy to heat, easy to power up. You know, the light that we use, this is our light for our house. I turn it on, you know, when I'm making a video or something, and then I turn it on about 7 o'clock at night here in the fall time. Of course, it'd be a little earlier. And then at night, I just plug it in, recharge it. It's just rechargeable little lantern. You buy them off Amazon. That lights up our whole house. Everything you do is just minimalistic. Well, we don't have places to store things. Yeah, we got tons of places to store things. We have 300 days worth of food right there. So the wood stove is actually probably a little big for us. They make another one 1,200 square feet, but I don't think we could get it much smaller unless we had a camping wood stove, and I'm just not going to do a camping wood stove. So this one's a 2,000 square foot stove. The wood itself, the way they measure how long wood lasts is when you put the wood in, it catches on fire. It lasts until the coals are to a point that it can still light the next set of logs. And they say that can happen within, I would say it's more like 6 to 8 hours. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Of course, I haven't ran a lot of oak yet. I've ran the sycamore. Last year our wood was so wet we couldn't get any determination. But your wood's got to be 20% or less. The process to start a wood stove, we just use a little butane torch. Now, I was on Wrangler Star's channel. He's a huge homesteader. He made a video about lighting a stove, and he used the propane torch. And in the comments section, these guys, I tell you, you know, you're not a man unless you use newspaper and a matchstick. That's how you're supposed to start a fire. Well, no, if you want to be a man, what you really need to do is rub two sticks together. No, if you want to be a man, what you want to do is you want to get a fire started so your wife's not chilly. That's the real definition of manhood. What difference does it make? How you start your fire as long as you get some heat in the house. A real man, you know, goes out and actually makes an effort to make sure he has heat. I just couldn't believe people were criticizing him because he used a torch. So I figured with my channel being so small, I had no chance of survival. So I'm going to explain manhood real quick. So what I've done here is I've got my kindling, and actually my kindling is pretty large. You could get little sticks like this and start it. I do a north-south pattern and then an east-west pattern, north-south pattern, and then an east-west pattern. So that means I got 2 logs running front to back, then I got 2 logs running side to side, then another 2 logs running back, front to back, and then a log up here. They're not logs, I mean, they're just little pieces of wood. Again, I use a hatchet to split that up. Then in here, right down here in the center, right down at the bottom, I use wood bark. I crumble up wood bark like that, and I put it down there. Then all I got to do is start my torch, and I'll just light it up like that for a few seconds. Now, one of the problems you're going to have when you're trying to start a coal chimney is smoke is going to roll out of the fireplace. It's not going to go up the chimney. And the reason is because your chimney is not hot enough to cause a draw. And that's what you're doing. So cold air sinks, hot air rises. Well, you have more cold air sinking right now than you have hot air rising. So all that cold air is pushing that smoke out into your room. So that what you want to do is you want to get that, your flue, your chimney, as hot as possible, as fast as possible. Something I learned is if you throw a newspaper in there, just lay it right there on top, that puts out a lot of heat real quick. It catches on fire fast, puts out a lot of heat, and then gets that chimney hot to the touch. And you just want to make it hotter than outside. So outside it's 40-something degrees. So you want to make this 50 or 60 degrees, and then the smoke will start going up the chimney versus out of the wood stove. And I can already see that it's starting to take effect, that the smoke is starting to go up the chimney. Okay, now this is just a sense of, you're used to your wood stove, you know how it feels and how it operates. But one of the things you're going to do is you're going to want to leave the door open, I don't know, for 5 or 10 minutes to make sure that this has an opportunity to really catch on fire and get good and rolling. Now, one way to do that is you close the door, because you don't want all that to pop out and catch all your other firewood on fire out here. So you put this out here. Now, if you crack it like this, you'll see that it really excites the flames because all that air is being sucked in as fast as it can. You'll run this for 5 or 10 minutes until the stove starts to get warm. As it gets warm, then you'll close the door. The key to that is once you close the door on these newer wood stoves, you're going to want to keep this fully open for 15 minutes. The vent here, that gets the air tubes up here good and hot. And once the air tubes are good and hot, then you can start throttling your vent down to slow down the flame. Because once the air tubes are hot, the air tubes will start burning the smoke. And that's where all the efficiency from this wood stove comes from. It's not so much burning the wood anymore, it's burning the smoke. And you'll see this dancing, beautiful blue flame. You'll see that in a previous video that I made that you're going to see at the end of this video. Now, we've talked about creosote a lot in previous videos. This is where creosote can really build up. In order to prevent creosote, one of the key things you need to do is you need to make sure you have dry firewood. You got to have that 20% or less firewood. Creosote is just this tarry substance. What it is it's actually wood, unburned wood is what it is. It's smoke going up there, and that smoke is just unburned wood. That's why the air tubes being hot is so critical. But as you can see right now, I think you can see, I can see, there's tons of smoke in there. So that means that smoke is going up into the chimney, into a cold chimney. And so that cold chimney is collecting all that smoke. The chimney's got to be hot to release the creosote. So this start up and slow down is where all your creosote builds up. Now, one of the key indicators that tells me that I've got a creosote problem is my window gets stained from creosote. What you want to do as this is heating up, you're going to want to monitor the temperature of your chimney and your fireplace. But key is the chimney. You want to get your chimney up to above 250 degrees. Because once it's above 250 degrees, creosote can't stick to your chimney anymore. Now, another thing that we try to do for creosote is we've bought this trisodium phosphate. You can buy it on Amazon. It's not hard to buy. I mean, there's nothing special about it. And it's a heavy-duty cleaner is what it is. They claim, and I don't have any reason to dispute it, we used it last year, that if you put this in your stove, just a handful, a little handful, and you throw it in a coal bed, that it will burn out the creosote in your chimney. And I think it does, because we had a real creosote problem last year because we had wet wood. As soon as you would use it, you could hear that creosote just falling down. Okay, so you can see the fire is really going now. So I'm going to close this up. And then you'll see that it kind of calmed down, and it's going to calm down even more, trying to draw air in from the vent now instead of from the open door. Now what's going to happen is you're going to see those tubes up there, those air tubes, that is going to burn smoke. They're going to get hot, and at night they get red hot. And then you're going to see that the flames on the wood is going to die down. But up here you're going to see all this dancing fire. Instead of the fire being down at the bottom, the fire's up here at the top. What's really interesting is if you can get this to slow down enough, the fire will go out, and every now and then the smoke will just erupt into an explosion in there. And you can hear the chimney as it's cooling down, and then that explosion all of a sudden happens, and then you hear that clicking, clicking, clicking of the chimney heating back up. What I do now is I got to leave this vent open for 15 minutes so the temperature on this can get hot. And I'm going to monitor it with a thermometer to make sure I can get it up to 300 degrees. Okay, so I got the chimney up to 300 degrees. The top of the stove is at 350. I used my little laser thermometer. You can buy these off Amazon. I just typed in laser thermometer. So if you can click onto this card right here, I'd really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm know that you like this video and you wanted to watch another one. It also shows about the wood stove. So hope I can inspire you to stay warm when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.